Gender dimension, it's really a quick presentation. A lot of people do not put a lot of effort in gender dimension because you can have one paragraph and that's it. You've done it, okay? But just to let you know, for a gender dimension, my very first evaluation assignment, the impasse, if you get, you know when you're ranking proposals and there's exactly the same score, the impasse was decided based on the gender dimension. That's how important it is, okay? And the gender dimension was female. There were, the proposals were inclusive of using women, and how many women were in the proposal. That was the deciding factor in those ones, okay? And I know who won, because in my batch, the first 3 that were funded were in my batch, and that was, for the second and third, that was the deciding factor. It was the gender. It was not, the first one was different. And also just to warn you, in the last 2 calls that we've been evaluating, the EU had to remind the evaluators of the gender dimension. Okay, as I said, it was a criteria to break deadlock in terms of where there are the same scores. It is also an evaluation criteria, as you would have seen, especially for those who are in the fast track to innovation and or SME instrument. The one thing, remember, I've been saying this at the very beginning, whatever you write is part of your core contract, okay? And your core contract has to be delivered because that's why you won a proposal. Once you've won it, how many of you have been through a reporting period? Okay, so when you've been through a reporting period, you do fill in a questionnaire. Okay, and in your questionnaire, you have to identify what your publications are, what your IP, what you generated in terms of IP. And you also, surprise, surprise, talk about how many women, how many men participated in that project, how many men and how many women are in the workforce. Okay. So if you are in a bigger organization and you had 40 people booking to your project, because it's a 3-year project, it's 12 million project, you probably would have 40 participants, 40 project leaders. It's a lot, but it happens. So if you have 40, of those 40, how many are women and how many are men? Because you have to put those in your questionnaire. So it's not just a matter of saying, oh yeah, equal rights and all this, and we have this women. Those people should be reflected in your questionnaire as well once you get into reporting period. So it's not just for proposal's sake, it is also for a measure from the EU once the project is running. Okay, and I think that's it for gender dimension. Are there any questions on gender dimension?
You mentioned that impasse is decided based
on the impasse, yeah.
Dimension. So does it mean there are thirds? If the evaluation is going to be anonymous, so you don't really have to know the people involved?
No, in your section 4, you identify which people are in your project. Do you remember section 4?
Yeah, so does it mean that preference is given to where you have, more?
That one had more women. That was the first criteria for the impasse.
Okay, okay.
For that particular call. It doesn't always happen, but it can happen. Because that call was specific to technology transfer. And it was advising the EU policy people on how to transfer knowledge from universities, for example, to the general public. So it was important that for the researchers, there were a lot of, there was a balance.
So for example, this one that we just take now, how much impact will the gender dimension have?
Probably none.
No.
Probably none. It probably will, but it will not be higher up in the impasse situation. for now, this is from experience, for deadlocks, for impasse, what they do is, you know, in a coal topic, there would normally be 2 or 3 different key areas. And so the EU will put key 1, key 2, key 3. If they funded one in key 1, if there is more money, they will fund somebody in key 2 and key 3, not somebody in key 1 as well who has a high score. So say, for example, they have 13.5, 13.5, 13.5, or 13.7. Although this is 13.7, but this is 13.6, for example, this will most likely win because the one that won is already in the first one. So they won't fund the same areas in one particular call. Okay.
It was just a follow-up question that was asked earlier. Is there a repository for any previous applications that can be looked at and judged in terms of?
They are not. There's none. The reason is they are confidential. Okay, and this is also the problem why somebody was talking about the guarantee, the money that the UK government is going to keep. What's that? The guarantee, the post-Brexit guarantee. The reason why Innovate UK are getting that statistic from us is because they don't have it. And the reason why they don't have it is because that arrangement, that contract is between you and the EU and the Commission. It's not with the government. That is confidential. This is why the Innovate UK doesn't. That's how sacred proposals are. Giving me ideas on obviously what people want when they are when they want to learn, but it's probably something that
it doesn't necessarily have to be a full thing, but it would be good to see that this is good, this is bad, and this is excellent, type of thing, just to gauge on how it should be approached, because it's all well and good kind of doing 1 or 2, but then when you actually want to see what's out there, it might change your way you're writing it. Yes,
that would be a good idea. Let me have a think and probably change, obviously, the topics. But from today, I realize that we do need to learn how to write objectives because those are not how we write competitive objectives. So I will have a look. I see probably over 150 of those, but I can't give that information. So I'll have a think of how it could help teach people how to write objectives, because clearly from today, we need to do that.
Can I ask here? Maybe it's just what might be easier for myself. We probably spent 80% of the time actually discussing what the project idea was to help us write some objectives. And that could have been given at the beginning. So
yeah.
Just been said, right, here's your idea, it's in response to this call, now you need to write some objectives for it. And it could have been based on a past call, and I know score 15 out of 15 or something like that. And then the actual objectives that we wrote were also very good because have been anonymised or copied to say that this was actually the idea of the call.
Yeah.
Out of that, or we were just looking at.
Yeah, I think it's the time element, and the material was sent last minute. But you were getting there.
It's good to get started to list 50 proposals.
The more proposals you see, the harder it gets to actually delineate what's good and what's not, I think. So that's why it's so hard to put examples. When I was running the examples in my presentation, apart from it taking ages to blur out stuff as well, it's kind of like everything's a bit contextual. So when I'm doing with Intuitive, it's quite easy because I've got this big bank of proposals and everyone's under confidentiality with those. So I can say, have a look at this page on this proposal, take that kind of structure and put it into your current bid. Because what everyone does is they take their last successful bid and they just kind of copy and paste their new project idea into that structure, whereas it might be a totally different type of project or whatever. So yeah. Unfortunately, something more than experience and doing it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's experience, and also it's difficult now to do copy and paste because the proposals have changed significantly from the first time I was evaluating for H2020. They look completely different now. Times have, and if you won before, you probably wouldn't win now because of the way proposals are written.